Have you ever wanted to know how to use Remark Web Survey's built-in email client with its ability to create and send email messages? Keep in mind, this demonstration will use Remark Web Survey 5, and therefore some of the features are not available in versions 4 or earlier. Today I'll show you how to import email addresses, create and save email templates, merge login information into the invitation that your respondents receive, and also how to embed passwords into an email. The email client is most useful for password-protected web forms with email addresses in the password builder. The software's built-in email client will actually have your addresses automatically included in the email client if they're in the password builder. If there are no email addresses in the password builder, you can add respondent email addresses manually by pasting them in, typing them in, or importing them. When you use the email client, you can utilize the default email generated and modify it as needed, or you can create, save, and use customized email templates. You can also use the information contained on the login page as merge fields. And if you want to use individual passwords that the respondent does not have to enter, from version 5 on, you can embed the password into the URL link to the web form itself. Let's take a look at some email messages. This is the basic generic default email containing a link to your survey. And notice that you've got the editing tools to tweak it as needed. In this next example, the email was edited and customized. In this last example of an email, it was enhanced, and then merged information was placed in it from the password list builder, and I've placed the name field, the username, and the password into the text of this email. And although there's nothing different about the body of the email itself, you'll see in the red box that these email messages, when sent, will have the password and username encrypted into the URL. Keep in mind, though, that this does not occur until the email is sent. Let's create some email using Remark Web Survey. And here is a little survey that I created as a sample for this purpose. And remember, before you use the email client, you would create, publish, and test your web form. To access the email client, we're going to go to the ribbon, to the Tools tab, and click on the Send Invitations button, which opens the generic email. If you have a login page where you've entered email addresses, notice that these will be in the To area of the email. If your web form does not have a login page, you may enter email addresses separated by a semicolon, or you can import them from a database. And if you click on the To button, the respondent list builder opens here, and you can connect to a database of your choice, Access, Excel, DBase, so on, and import those email addresses. Well, as you saw earlier, this text is very, very basic, so you can annotate it or change it as needed, and I'll just quickly change that. Now, you may want to modify not only the text, but you might want to modify the subject line here, which you can do, or you might want to change the From email address by default. This will be the administrator of this web form. But whatever you do, do not modify the link to the survey itself. If you change this link, respondents will be unable to access your web form. If your survey is password protected, as this one is, you have two options for getting your passwords into your respondents' hands. You can merge them into the body of the email, or you can embed them into the web form URL. So let's see how this is done. I'm going to cancel out of this email, and we're going to go back to Send Invitations. This time we're going to drop down and choose the Include Username Password option. And remember that red box, you'll notice at the bottom here it says credentials will be embedded when the messages are sent. Keep in mind that even if you embed the password in a URL, you may wish to give respondents their password by including it as a merged field in the form, in the text of the email in case they need it later. So in terms of merging, let's try something here. I'm going to just type in the word dear and then a comma. And for password protected forms, you can use any of the information in the password list builder. So in my case, I could use the username, the password, the name. I'm going to insert my cursor just ahead of the comma, and I'm going to go to Add Merge Field, and I'm going to choose Name because I want to personalize this email. And now, when this email goes out, that respondent's name will be pulled and placed right here after the word dear. So it's a very good use of this merge. Now notice that the merge field is not encrypted, so the respondent's going to be able to see that information when they receive the email, and we'll take a look at that later. But you don't see the username or anything merged, or the password or the username merged into the URL of the survey link. This will happen, again, at the time that the survey is sent out. Now, if we wanted to save this as a template, we could do that by simply dropping down Email Templates menu here, and we could use the Save option, and if we did, a little box would open up and allow us to type in a very descriptive name, somewhat like the ones you see there in my list. If we had an existing template, we could edit it using the Edit Email Templates option. But what let's do right now is actually use one that I've already created, and this will be the one right here, and we'll open that up. And this is the one you saw earlier, and we're actually going to send this email out. And in order to do this, I'm actually going to strip out of this toolbox all the email addresses except for the one so that I don't spam everybody on my list. So keep in mind about templates that they can be real time savers. Now when we send this out using the send button, you'll just briefly see a little progress bar, because I'm only sending one, and a little envelope. If you were sending a whole lot of email out, you could click on that envelope if you, for any reason, needed to cancel the send operation. So I'm going to click on the send button and then look really quickly, sort of right where my cursor is, and you'll see that progress bar. And there it was, right there. Now, just one note before we go and look at this in Outlook. Once you've got this email sent, they're going to actually be sent out in batch mode so as to not to overload your email server. And the throttle rate is something you can determine in the web form properties. Let's go to Outlook and take a look at that email that we just sent. And here we are. And here's the email. Let's open it up. You'll notice in this email that we do have the fields that we merged, and they're visible to this respondent, Dear Bob Jones. And notice down here in the bottom paragraph, we have his name, B. Jones, and we also have his password, rather, in case he needs it. And if we click on the link to the survey itself, let's try that, see what happens. Remember, we encrypted his password and username here so that he doesn't have to enter it to take the survey. And in just a second, that's going to open. And there it is. So this is a password protected survey, but he did not need to enter password or username to start taking the survey. Well, let's go back to Outlook. And just to review, we talked about setting up the email client, modifying and saving emails as templates, and then also how to merge fields from the password builder into the body of the email and into the URL to the survey itself. I hope this has been helpful, and enjoy using Remark Web Survey. Thank you.